What's going on, y'all? So we have the lovely Zani here in all of her beautiful delightness, and we're going to have a guide for y'all. As y'all previously know, we did release a Phoebe guide, which was extremely well received. So we're going to dive into this. Zani's been out for a little under a week now, and we have been able to really test her out and kind of get things working. So we're going to really describe how her kit works, how to play her. We're going to also, of course, describe what best echoes to use, do some variations on with Phoebe and with Rover, all the above. Pretty much we're just going to make sure that you're good to go here. You're going to understand fully how her kit works, how the Heliacal Embers work, how Spectro Frazzle works. Remember my Phoebe guide, if you're looking to play Phoebe in specific or really understand her kit, which is very beneficial, do check out that guide as well, which can be found in the description. Do be sure to check that out. But for this one, we will be focusing on Zani. Do be sure to like and subscribe, by the way. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. So Zani is a super DPS who operates with a gauntlet weapon. And pretty much her whole kit revolves around really stacking up this bar that you see at the bottom and then moving into her liberation, which is where the bulk of her damage is going to come from. So you want to be focusing on her liberation. But she, as you can see listed here, going to the resonators, these are the roles that they have her listed as: main damage dealer, heavy attack damage, spectral damage amplification, and spectral frazzle. So we'll go over this. If you're wondering more about spectral frazzle in depth, that will be in the Phoebe guide, but we will go over it briefly just so that we understand the mechanics of the kit for Zani, because it does directly apply to the Heliacal Embers, and as thus the rest of her kit. But first and foremost, to understand the team comps that Zani can work in, Zani preferably wants to work with Spectro Frazzle appliers, or people who can apply Spectro Frazzle. That's really what's going to amplify her kit. However, you don't have to do that, but you will greatly lose out on it. And I will explain that a little bit later as to why that is, as it has to do with the blaze mechanic within her kit. But ideally speaking, you want to use Phoebe, that's her premium mechanic, and then you can also use Rover as well. However, it will not apply the stacks as efficiently by using Rover, whereas Phoebe, we got the walking bug. Isn't that hilarious? Do the walking bug. But no, whereas Phoebe, her kit, her confession mode, which is her blue mode, as seen here, is ideal for Zani, because upon using her heavy attack here, boom, that will apply 5 Spectral Frazzle stacks. Now, understanding the Spectral Frazzle stacks and how they work with Zani, you'll need to kind of understand some of her kits, and you'll need to understand the bars down below. Understand that the main top bar right there that you see, that's kind of sliced up, divided up, that main top bar is directly her energy that she will build that will allow her her skill, this, to become enhanced. So we'll show all this in examples in combat after we go over this. That way you can fully see it, and then we'll kind of discuss it as it's happening. So that way there's no questions here, you fully understand the kit. Then the bar that's under that, the solid bar, is her blaze bar. Her blaze bar directly applies to her liberation and pretty much how many reps she can get during her liberation. So her blaze goes to 100, and then it can also go to 150. You get 50 when doing the liberation. So the normal stack is 100, and then you get 50 when you do your liberation. So we're going to her kit, so we kind of understand some key elements here as to how she operates and understand her echoes and things of the sort. That's how we really kind of understand where we're going with this, and then we'll show some gameplay. A couple examples, that way we'll do it with Phoebe, we'll do it with Spectral Rover, and so we all can see good examples on how she's played and how she's utilized. But she's a super DPS, a very strong character, so I would definitely recommend pulling her, especially if you have Phoebe. I really would recommend getting Phoebe regardless anyway, because Phoebe is such a versatile character, and she really is the backbone for a lot of Renacita, as well as she can be utilized with the upcoming characters, such as those who implement Erosion, because that directly can come from Spectro Frazzle. So she has very high usage as well, so do be sure to check out that guide if you are looking at getting Phoebe and using the premium team for Zani as well. First and foremost, on how to build her, you're going to want to be using the Eternal Radiance kit here. So as you go over here, you're going to use Eternal Radiance kit. You want to use it, it's pretty much your standard, kit for DPS. So crit rate or crit damage. You want the double Spectro, and you want some attack here. Now, the subsets that you really want to be focusing on are pretty much the standard ones with the emphasis on heavy attack for that one that's kind of off. So your crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, heavy attack, and energy regen. They're pretty much the ones that you really want to be focusing on here. In her kit, as you can see, I don't have like the best of echoes, but they work. They're still good. So that's really what you want to focus on in her kit. I do want to make a special note as well, considering the echoes here, that while you do have this Nightmare X right here that you can use, you can also use Capitaneus. So as you can see here, Capitaneus is this guy here. It's the Phantom version. But he can be a little bit difficult to farm because he comes in both of these variants. So you can see he comes in Gust of Welkin as well as the Eternal Radiance. So as such, it dilutes the pool for trying to farm this guy. So it can be a little annoying to get the proper, element and stat that you want on him. Now, of course, you could use the modifiers as well, which I'll show you in a second. You could use those as well if you want to use those. However, you may not want to be running through those. But the things here is that Spectro damage and heavy attack damage. So as you can see here, let me take this off. You can see right here that this guy is going to give 12% Spectro damage bonus and 12% heavy attack damage bonus. So this is an option that you can use, and it would be the better option to use. But, as I said, this guy's just a bit more annoying to get. Whereas over here, you get the Spectral Frazzle damage increase here. However, at least we're not actually getting that with Zani, because Heliacal Embers do not count as Spectral Frazzle. You're only getting the 12% on the Spectral damage bonus. So either way, both of them are viable options. But of course, idealistically speaking, you would want this one because the heavy attack also will heavily contribute to Zani. But all in all, the Spectral damage bonus is 12%. It's still something that you're getting across the board. So I figured I would let y'all know that. Pretty much that way, if you want to just get this one quick, kind of like how I have it right now, then go and worry about this one afterwards. That's an option. However, of course, if you can get this one, this would be the best option to use in your main 4 slot. So remember, this is going to be in your main 4 slots. So we're getting this buff. Even though it's a 3 cost, it will just go up here. It's going to be in your main slot to maximize and capitalize on these extra stats right here. And now, if you do want to go down the route of using modifiers for this, you can simply go to this, open the databank, and modifiers right here. Then you can go in here and choose. So we'll choose a Capitaneus, so 3 cost. And it looks like it already has it. So then you can go to that and go down here, modify, and boom, and like Spectro damage bonus. Put attack on there, whatever you want to put on there. And you can do like so. So you don't want to do that, but you want to do Spectro damage bonus. So you can change it like so, modify from Aero damage to Spectro damage bonus, and modify that thing. So that way now you have a Spectro damage bonus here that you can use on this that is of the set. So if you have the modifiers to use this, which right now you probably do, then of course that's an option. However, you may not want to use these. So, or you may want to use these for different characters or whatever. So, of course, if you do not want to use these, then Nightmare X is definitely the more farmable option to just go ahead and just dive into and attack all willy-nilly. Whereas farming the Capitaneus can be very annoying because it will drop both the Gust of Welkin and the Eternal Radiance set. I will repeat this down here with the Eternal Radiance in case some of you forget, because a lot of people did not pull Phoebe. Of course, I went over this in my Phoebe guide, but a lot of people did not realize that this Echo set gave this. Do remember that Eternal Radiance inflicting Spectral Frazzle on enemies increases crit rate. This crit rate is 20%. So you're getting a 20% crit rate boost, pretty much at permanent uptime. So do understand that and that's very valuable for this Echo set, and do understand that while you're trying to build your character and maybe the values that you want to see on them. So mine's not the best right now. We're still working on it, but it gets the job done. So pretty much we're running at a 68.2% crit rate at all times, which isn't terrible, right? But nonetheless, let's keep it moving. So in terms of the weapon, this is her unique weapon, which is going to increase attack by casting basic attack grants the following effects. Dealing damage ignores 8% of the target's defense and amplifies Spectral Frazzle damage dealt by 50% for 6 seconds. This is her unique weapon, and if you can get it, then obviously you should get it, most certainly. However, I did run it with the free 5-star weapon here, the Abyss Surges, and you still get very quality results. Of course, you're not going to get as quality results as you will with her unique standard weapon, or her unique weapon, excuse me, not standard, but her unique weapon, Blazing Justice. But you will still get great results. She's a strong unit regardless. So, if you only have 4-star options, you might be able to get away with some of these other ones regardless, because she'll still output good amounts of damage regardless because of the way that she operates, because of how strong she is. So if you go to your skill kit, we'll try to dive into some things here, and so we fully understand. So the most important thing that you need to understand in regards to Zani's kit here, her Forte circuit, is the Heliacal Embers. These are extremely important to understand, and how they work with Spectro Frazzle. So pretty much with Spectro Frazzle, the minute you apply Spectro Frazzle, they are immediately converted to Heliacal Embers. And these are two different things, but you still, for all intents and purposes, as listed here, the Spectro Frazzle stacks for the Eternal Radiance, so not an effect. So you're still getting this. This still applies to the Echo set for that crit rate and stuff like that. This still applies to that. But they are two different effects that you will see, because the minute you apply Spectro Frazzle, it converts it directly to a Heliacal Ember. So do understand that. We'll show all this, like I said, we'll show all this, and we'll go over it while we're doing it as well, so we can completely understand it and see it. But the key thing about this is that Heliacal Embers, every time the conversion happens, and it takes Blaze. Remember, Blaze was the bar I told you about, the solid bar that directly applies to how many reps you can get in her liberation. So you really want to be focusing on that and understanding that. So we're going to go over here and show you real quick, so we can stop dilly-dallying. We're going to show you what this looks like. Let's go over to something that you're going to be killing a lot of if you're doing Zani, which is this mob right here, because you will want this as an option for your 4-slot Echo. Fine. So we'll go over here, and we're going to double dabble over here. So let's go ahead and go in here. We're already in the blue mode. So let's put some Spectral Frazzle stacks on her. Okay, let's keep it going back into that. Put some Spectral Fracts. Okay, so as you see those icons. Now, if you're looking at the icon there, over at on the top, under the mob, the yellow gold one, that's going down, it's at 14 right now. If you look at that closely, that's different from the normal Spectral Frazzle stack. It might be easy to think that that's the exact same thing, but it's not. And so that's going to happen whenever Zani is in your party. So let me go and show you what it looks like when it's just Spectral Frazzle. So if you saw the icon on there, it was like a whole bunch of lines, and so it was almost like a hieroglyphic, or like a tribal tattoo. Whereas the Spectral Frazzle icon in itself does not look like that. So let's take Zani out of the party. Actually, I think I have a different setup. So let's go over here, and we'll go here because now Zani's not in the party. And now I want you to see what Spectral Frazzle looks like when it's just Spectral Frazzle. So Spectral Frazzle will appear as this. You see how it's solid. It's not all those lines. Notice how the other one had all those lines? And see, it's saying Spectral Frazzle because Zani's not in the party. If Zani is in the party, they will immediately be converted to Heliacal Embers. So understand that. This also means that you cannot trigger Aero Erosion when you have Zani in the party, if you're triggering it off of, if you're trying to trigger it off of Spectral Frazzle, you cannot do that. I have tested that. You cannot do that because the way that Aero Erosion works. So if you're using Aero Erosion Rover, and usually that's how you want to do that. You want to apply Spectral Frazzle stacks, and then you can convert those Spectral Frazzle stacks to Aero Erosion stacks. You cannot do that with Heliacal Embers. Heliacal Embers are only Heliacal Embers. Period. So if Zani is in the party, she will convert all Spectral Frazzle stacks to Heliacal Embers. So keep that in mind if you were thinking about an Aero Erosion build or anything of the sort in that regard. So now we'll go back here, and we'll kind of run this fully, but we're going to show you here. I'm going to talk you through it as we do it. So I'm putting on these Spectral Frazzle. See how the icons are different, right? So those are Heliacal Embers. And also, I want you to notice here, let's actually get rid of this if we can. You notice how that's enhancing right there. So let me just say that right there. Normal attacks, you see I'm just normal attacking, that bar is going up, the divided bar, the top bar. that happens from just pretty much your normal attacks. That's going to trigger your enhanced one. See, now my E is going to be enhanced, right? That's going to be your enhanced one, which is going to do more damage. Remember, her whole kit is pretty much parrying as well. So you want to try to parry as much as you can. Also, dodges will help with that as well. But let's go ahead and use this real quick. I just want to use this and cancel it real quick because I want to show y'all something. If we can. I went ahead and back out of that because I want y'all to see this. So I want y'all to pay attention. Look at Zani on the top right. Look at her icon. You see that bar? That's her blaze bar. So remember how I said the Heliacal Embers, whenever that happens, it gives her blaze, right? And her blaze directly goes towards her liberation, right? So you want that to apply to get more reps on her liberation, more attacks. So as you will see here, as we start using Phoebe, you will see that her bar is going to go up. And this is why Phoebe is such great for this. So look at us applying stacks here. Watch the bar. You see how that bar just moved up like that? Let's try not to die real quick. So you see how this bar is going to move up. I'm going to do this again. Watch the bar. You see how it's going up so quickly, right? So this is the big difference that you're going to see. So it's max right now. So that's the max of 100. Remember, you'll get 50 when you use the liberation. So that's the big difference with using Phoebe and using Rover. So when you're using Rover, Spectro Rover, it's going to be a lot slower to get that. Extremely slower. So now you have all this blaze, which means that when you go into your liberation, you're going to see that bar down there, right above my HP. It's full. That's reflecting your blaze. So, well, excuse me, we were so rudely interrupted. But that bar was reflecting your blaze. So that's actually a prime example because you saw how full it was now, right? So we're actually going to it without pulling any stacks. And you'll see that that bar is going to be much slower. As you can see, her kit is very much parrying, so you really want to time things there, which is really how you really maximize her kit. You really do damage there, as you see there. She's an extremely fun character in that regard. I really just want to get this here. Let's try to. We're not gonna put any Frazzle stacks here. I just want to get her liberation up, so I want y'all to see the difference. You can hold that skill button, or you can release it immediately, by the way. Okay, so now we're about. So now you see my blaze bar. Look at the bottom of the screen. You see my blaze bar, the solid one, is what, 25% full or so, maybe 30%. So as you see me go into the liberation, it's going to reflect that. You see, it's not nearly as full as it was prior, right? And so this is an issue. Well, it's not an issue, but it's going to affect your damage. Because when you're in this mode and you use these special attacks, it takes blaze. You see how it's going down while I'm swinging? So now it's already done. I can no longer do those enhanced heavy attacks, so I may as well just close it out. So that is why you want your blaze to be high up. Because you will not be able to get those enhanced heavy attack swings if it is not. So that's the most important thing to understand there regarding the blaze mechanic and the Heliacal Embers. So remember, the Heliacal Embers are being obtained when you are inflicting Spectral Frazzle. They're immediately being converted from Spectral Frazzle. And every time that conversion happens, it will go towards Zani's blaze, which you want to be accumulated for her liberation. And in regards to her liberation, do understand that the last stand, which is when she dives and closes out her liberation, is accessible when blaze is lower than 30 or after 8 seconds within her liberation Inferno mode. Also understand that the damage multiplier of her basic attacks is going to be increased when she's in Inferno mode. I mean, obviously speaking, she's in Inferno mode, she's just turned freaking Super Saiyan. Obviously her stats are going to get a boost. Now this can also be ran in, of course, in the team with Spectro Rover, because you're probably wondering, okay, well, this is probably good with Spectro Rover as well. So we'll actually change this here. You can run this both with both of them if you want to, technically speaking. But I mean, of course, you're losing out on a healer, which you pretty much want for a lot of this stuff, right? So, and he can pseudo heal, but it's not very effective. He does, if you don't know, in his resonance chain, I believe it's higher up, but I mean, you should have it. But it will do this. HP equal to 20% of Rover's attack will be restored every second for 5 seconds. Ooh, 5 seconds. Wow, so much time. So it's not really a reliable unit to as a standalone healer in that regard. Of course, as you know, the Aero variant of Rover does have much stronger healing properties. So this will be of use potentially in the future. But also remember, Aero Erosion cannot be converted with ZANNIII in the party from Spectro Frazzle stacks because it will directly go to Heliacal Embers. But nonetheless, we'll run this setup with Rover. We'll take Phoebe out so y'all can see how the difference of gameplay is going to be there. And keep in mind, remember, look at my blaze bar. It's at like 25% right now. And you'll see, we're not going to get the charges. So you see at the top right icon where ZANNIII's at. You're going to see that these bars not filling up nearly as quickly with just Rover in here, okay? It will still work, but it's not going to fill up nearly as quickly as you would otherwise see.
Hopefully the moment of resonance.
It's just going to fill up right there because you see Spectral Frazzle being applied there. But of course, you have to kind of wait through things because the Rover can't just willy-nilly apply it. But as you can see, he's applying it from the skill, but it's just not nearly as quick as Phoebe can do it, correct? As you see, it's kind of taking a little bit, right? Now it's going to be maxed out. So now it's maxed out. So now we're good. But as you can see there, it took him much longer to do so, to max that bar out. Whereas if you have Phoebe, it's just right there, boom, boom, boom. Now, if you're looking at this right here, that's pretty much, that's a heavy attack that's happening. And it's very straightforward. You just want to trigger a basic attack and you can pretty much hold the button. Just boom, and then just hold that thing, it'll go through it. As you see, it's taking that blaze down, which is why you want to build that blaze up. Once that blaze is all the way down, you can go ahead and just exit out that mode by using the liberation button again, which I did not use that time, but you saw it before when we dived. Also do understand that when you are using her, oh yeah, trophy. Also understand that when you are using ZANNIII in her liberation mode, that you can also exit out of it while you were in it. So let's see here. So as you can see here, you can be in liberation mode and you can exit out this thing. So we're in Rover right now, as you see. We're in Rover right now. And we can go back to, you see how my bar is filling up as well while we're out of this, but we're still in the ult. So as you can see, you can go out, you can actually apply more blaze to her, which is pretty crazy. You can apply more blaze to her while she's in this. She will stay in this mode until it times out, or until you exit it. So as you can see here, in her liberation, it says that the Inferno duration is 20 seconds. So she will stay in this for 20 seconds or until you exit it. So you can freely switch out, give more blaze or whatnot, while you're in this mode to continue it and switch back in. You have 20 seconds to do so. Of course, if you lose all your blaze, you're not really doing much damage there. So you can just end it thin or whatnot, whatever you want to do. But understand that this lasts for 20 seconds and you can switch your character out during this whole thing. So another key component that you will see with ZANNIII is, of course, her parrying. Her parrying is her key element here. So as you see right here, boom, it's going to parry, it goes into an attack. This thing is extremely effective. It will completely annul 100% of damage if hit at the proper time, as you can see right there. And the more you hit those things, those cooldowns will be reduced, so it will allow you to hit them much quicker. So as you see, you're about to hit it right there, boom. It is, and it creates just this completely impossible to defeat character. That's the poser right there that I mentioned before that y'all didn't see a little while ago. So as you can see here, she's extremely versatile in that regard, and she's a complete tank of a survivability factor. She can survive anything as long as you keep on parrying. Like I said, her kit has that so that it takes 100% of damage. It completely annuls it, and you will not have to worry about a dang thing at all in it. I believe it's going to be, is it going to be over here where it says it? There's a go right there. Reduces the instance of damage by 100% and consume all redundant energy to cast Forcible Repulsal. So as you can see right there. And so these are her two little variants, of course, when it's enhanced and when it's not enhanced, which we kind of went over before, where we're talking about this top bar, the one that's divided. So when that thing's at max, which you just get from building up normal attacks and whatnot, then that will give the enhanced variant of her either like that. So you will see that there. And when she does this, you have the option of either just hitting it or holding it. So you can hold it as well. And you have that short little period there where you can get that parry in there, and it does some increased damage on top of it. Another key component that you will want to note from her kit is, of course, her outro skill. So her outro skill, as you can see here, is the Beacon for the Future. Attack the target dealing spectral damage equal to 150% of Zani's attack, and removing all sets of Heliacal Ember. Remember, Heliacal Ember is the variant Spectro Frazzle. So just to reinforce that y'all see with the crazy icon. So, all sets of Heliacal Ember inflicted upon the target. Each stack increases the damage dealt by 10%. This damage is considered Spectral Frazzle damage. The Spectral damage dealt by other resonators in the team to the target marked by Heliacal Ember is amplified by 20% for 20 seconds. So she also amplifies the Spectral damage coming as well, which is also why she's greatly paired with Phoebe. And of course, obviously she's paired with Spectral Rover. But her outro is a great skill to be using as well. And then while on the subject of her outro skill, of course, we have her intro skill, which is going to give 12% spectral damage bonus for 14 seconds. She's a complete behemoth of a damage dealer. Absolute complete behemoth. When in Ready Stance, all damage taken is reduced by 40%. Ready Stance is obviously, that's kind of self-explanatory, is obviously the guard stance that you see me using in there when I'm fighting. And now while we're on the screen, by the way, in case you were just kind of like confused by these words, because all these words can be confusing sometimes. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Just understand that, like, you know, like when they're talking down here, redundant energy, her resident skills replaced with the redundant energy is just the top bar I told you about. That's what they're talking about. So it's like the concerto energy pretty much. Redundant energy is that top bar. So that's what this is referring to, where it's talking about her resident skills replace her crisis response protocol. That's when her E is the yellow glowing one. That's what that's referring to. So, they have all these different names and stuff, and it can be confusing. So that's why, you know, we make these guides. That way you can understand it a bit better and not be as confused about it. But nonetheless, these pairings, these guards that you're going to use with her are a key force, a key component of her kit, and will really allow you to really just chain attacks together and keep yourself alive pretty much indefinitely. Because remember, as you continue to use these guards on these mobs, these guards, these parries, that cooldown kind of gets reset. It kind of goes lower. So you can use them a bit quicker as you continuously keep doing them. And then, of course, doing dodges as well will also benefit into that, which is heavily beneficial. So if you further go into the Forte circuit, you're kind of looking at all these things that are heavy slash and daybreak, heavy slash dawning, heavy slash so and so and so. Just understand it's pretty much just those heavy slashes that I was just showcasing. And they all have different names depending on how it operates. So if you trigger a parry or not, then it has a different name pretty much. But they all do crazy damage, as you can see here. They all do crazy damage regardless. And if you're in Inferno mode, which is your ult, then it's going to do even more damage. So just understand that you really want to be trying to get these parries though, and chaining those parries with these attacks, because when you chain those parries with the attacks, those guards with the attacks, then it's going to do much more damage. But like I said before, when we were doing this earlier, you just go into this very easily by hitting a basic attack, and then you're pretty much just holding it, and it will do that. This is when you're in the Inferno mode, of course. And that's going to go through that whole process of that really strong heavy attack. And then of course the other variant, the other option would be to, of course, hit that guard and then go into it. We'll go over here and do another representation of it. Okay, and so now we have our Phoebe team here. Put Zani in there. You see my blaze bar is about 50%. Let's go ahead and go into blue mode, get some stacks here. All right, nice and full there. As you can see, it's much easier to get that full stack with Phoebe. Let's go in here. We're not going to give the Verena buff. Let's just go ahead and go straight into this. Go straight into this ult. And let's just go ahead and just go crazy at this. So you see they're holding that down. Looks like he died too quick. Bruh. But you see them holding that attack down. They're just going to get those swings. Boom, boom. Those are the swings. That's those heavy swings right there. So you're hitting that basic attack once. Okay, now we'll go into this. As you see, it's still on there. So we can't get a parry here. Oh, looks like we're already out of it. Looks like he's dying a little too quick, though. This is too grave an example. So we'll go to Fluggerlist here, and we'll do a little run through here. So y'all can kind of see a full fight and kind of fully understand the rotational values here. Remember all the things I told y'all about the Heliacal Embers? Make sure you're looking at the bar that Zani has when she's not on the field. So that bar right there showing her blaze and everything of the sort. And watch how these parries work together as well. So when we go ahead and go into this blue mode, get those on there. See those Heliacal Ember stacks starting to build up right there. Now they're built up. Let's go ahead and we won't switch to green. We don't want her to die too quick. So we'll go into this. We'll hit a parry right there. We'll go ahead and go into her ult. We want to hit a parry if we can. Well, we can't though. So we just go ahead and get that heavy attack going. As you see, that mob never stood a chance. Which is pretty much the whole scenario with Zani, especially if you have the premium team with Phoebe. So these mobs never stand a chance. I don't want that. So the key thing to remember here with Zani is, of course, that she operates with these Heliacal Embers, and it directly plays off of the Spectro Frazzle. So teams with Phoebe or Spectro Rover are really what you want to use. As we mentioned, her echo set, kind of what you want to use on her. Of course, her weapons. Once again, remember I did say that you could use, we did try it with this as well, and it worked out okay. Of course, this is going to be her main weapon, but she's a strong unit regardless. So either way, you're in a good place, a good scenario, especially if you have Phoebe to be paired with her as well. So do understand that. But keep in mind that her blaze is going to charge up when you hit those Heliacal Embers, those conversions, and it's going to cap at 100, but you get 50 when you do your liberation. That's the key thing that you really need to be aware of, because without having those, you won't get as many rotations on her enhanced heavy attacks during her liberation, which of course are freaking behemoths of damage. So you want those, which is why the pairing with Phoebe is so great. But nonetheless, hopefully this guide helped out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. Remember, there is a Phoebe guide that really goes into detail about the Spectro Frazzle, about Phoebe's kit and everything and all the sort that you really need to understand Phoebe's dynamics, as well as she's an extremely strong and versatile character. So be sure to check that out. That will be in the description. But nonetheless, hopefully this helped y'all. And if you have any questions, once again, ask them down in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Holla. Spike content.